Now open your eyes. Okay, so we're going to continue. And but before we continue, two very important questions was asked. And one was that later on when we start to energize our chi, especially when we get down to the lower part of our body, we tap on the outside, right? On the outside, the front and the back. And then I talk about how those are the yang energy line. Yang means the sun, the masculine. And don't seem to be talking about the inside. And so one question Martha asked is what are the inside for? And then I said, well, actually the inside, one is for the liver and one is for the splint. And so I would demonstrate that today. That's one thing. The other thing was a very important question, very interesting question was asked directly, which is, I understand that the outside is gallbladder, but I don't have a gallbladder anymore. They took it out. So what does that mean? Do I still have a gallbladder energy line? Interesting. Very important. Well, first of all, you don't need a gallbladder, right? What's the purpose of gallbladder? It's to store the bile, right? It's basically where the bile is getting dehydrated so that it gets more concentration. What is the purpose of the bile? The bile is you need bile in order to dissolve fat. Okay, so when you digest in your stomach, in your intestines, you need the bile in order to absorb the fat. And if you don't have bile, you're going to constipate. Okay, so it doesn't seem like that difficult a thing to replace with modern medicine because the bile is actually generated by the liver. Okay, so without bile, it's fine. Now, what's interesting is that we divide the internal organs into the yin organ and the yang organ. The yin organ is associated with the energy line in front, and the yang organ is associated with the energy line in the back. The one in the front, we call that conception or energy line. That's conception channel. The one in the back is called the governing channel. That's how it's officially translated. Although, if you understand Chinese, you realize that it's not as much as conception, it is gestation. And it's not as much as governing, it is protecting. So, what is that all about? Well, it means that the organs are divided into yin and yang, and the yin is feminine. It's really what the mother provides you. And if you don't have it, you're not vital as a fetus. And what are those? Those are the heart and the lung and the splint. Turns out that splint is an important organ, and the liver and the kidney. Now you have to have those. The doctors cannot remove those. And then you might say, well, actually, I have one of my kidney removed. Yeah, but you still have another one. Okay, you need at least one. At least one. All those five yin organs you must have to survive as a human being, and you must have to be viable as a fetus. And they're concentrated. The energy are all in the front. Okay, and that's why I said this before. That I remember when my wife was pregnant, she twice, and she had a little. You can see a line in front in her. And when I look it up, it turns out that that's a known fact, which is that is the energy reflected on the mother as the fetus is developing the vital organs. Now, during this time, all the yang organs associated with the governing lines, the intestines, the stomachs, right, and the gallbladder, the bladder, and so forth, you don't actually need them because the functions are provided by the mother. Okay, that's how we understood it, but they're not the same as the Western organ. They're actually not the same as the Western organ. The splint and the gallbladder in the Chinese concept are not the same as the splint and the gallbladder in the Western concept. And so I'm going to need to talk about that later. And so, but let's just focus on our exercise for a little while. Okay, I'll do that. I'll explain that in a minute. The brain is actually there are a lot more. There are a lot more than the brain that are not part of the yin and yang organ. For example, the pancreas and the limb. Okay, now the pancreas and the limb is part of um, the splint. Okay, And the brain, the Chinese believe that they're part of the kidney. The kidney energy line is the one that provides the raw ingredients for the marrow. So the kidney is actually the source of life. It's without the kidney is the water. Without the water, there is no life. And so the kidney is the source of life. The essence of the kidney is what is necessary for build up the marrow. The marrow then is being cultivated in the spine, and then they believe that the brain matter is just part of that marrow. Okay, it's actually called the sea, like the ocean of the marrow. Okay. Now, from the meditation standpoint, from the Buddhist standpoint, the brain is just another organ. It's just another sense organ. It's actually part of the body. It's not even the mind. The brain is not the mind. Okay. The brain is just another organ. It's no different than the eye, the nose, the tongue, the ear, the skin, and the mind. In this case, the mind is just the brain. Okay. Now this is now you once you get me started, then we might as well just stop here with no exercise because I can go on for days. Now there's a cultural difference. There's a cultural difference between the Western emphasis on the brain and the Eastern emphasis on something beyond the brain. Okay. The Westerners tend to think that the brain is the entirety of your intellectual system, right? Whereas the yeast, the brain is part of your spinal cord. It's actually part of your nerve system is not just the brain, but your spinal cord. And the reason for that is that the Westerners had a history that we don't have in the Eastern. The Westerners has the Dark Ages where you're not allowed to use your brain. There were, and that's a long time. If you look at the European history, that's a long part of your history. Whereas the Chinese 5,000 years ago, we had scholars. Everybody is encouraged to use the brain. So the brain is important, but it's not the most important. Spiritual practice is about not using the brain. It's not about thinking. It's about feeling. Okay. So earlier when I was doing the exercise, it was actually the beginning of a spiritual exercise where I asked you to feel the pain, examine the pain, and let go of the pain. That's about not thinking. That's about using your spinal cord and not your brain. All right. The brain solves a lot of problems, but it's also the source of lots of suffering. Now open your eyes. Okay. Now, if you next time when you have a chance to see a newborn baby, just observe the stomach, and you notice that a newborn breathe with the stomach. As they breathe, the stomach moves, right? Because that's actually how we exchange nutrient with the mother when we're inside the mother's womb. Is that it's all done through the umbilical cord. So this belly button, is a very important energy point because that's where all the nutrients and all the waste are being exchanged, and they do that with the diaphragm by just keep pushing. Now, as a result, that's actually a very important part of the energy system because it needs energy to develop the internal organs. After we were born, eventually we lose that skill. We don't breathe with our stomach anymore, meaning that we don't use the diaphragm as efficiently anymore, and we start to breathe more and more with just the chest. And then when my dad, towards the end, actually even my in-laws, my father-in-law, and my mother-in-law, I watch all three of them die, and they don't even breathe with the chest anymore. They breathe with the throat. Okay, so if you want to be healthy, the first thing you have to do is learn how to use your diaphragm more efficiently. All right, so that's important. All right, so I want to talk about this energy line now, and make sure that we still have lots of time to practice before 9 o'clock. Because back to the question about the gallbladder, what if I don't have a gallbladder? What happens then, right? Do I still, or what if I have only one arm? What happened to this other energy line? So I need to explain that. What is this energy? What is this chi? What's going on? What happens here? I'm sure all of you know Zen. Huh? the Japanese Zen meditation. I'm sure you know that. Some of you might even have practiced Zen meditation as I did. And where does the word Zen comes from? That's a Japanese word, right? So in Hanji, the Chinese, their language is also written in the Japanese have three different set of characters. One is the traditional Chinese. So the word actually comes from the Chinese word called Chan, Chan. Where does the word Chan comes from? The word Chan comes from Chana. That's the full word. Chan is abbreviation. Where does the word Chana comes from? That comes from the Sanskrit word called jhana. What does jhana mean? Jhana is the state of meditation, a very deep state of meditations where you actually have elevated yourself, your spiritual being, beyond what we call the desire realm. You say, what? What's going on here? The desire realm is just the realm that we live in that is totally dominated by desire. Because this is the realm where any beings, whether it's human, animals, hungry ghosts, or even those that live in hell, one thing that they have in common is that they have these sensors: the eye, the nose, the tongue, okay, the ear, the body, and the brain, the mind. And we consider those the organs, the sense organs in the desire realm. Now, if you look back, I actually did a talk on about meditating in the desire realm. Okay, so you just have to look that up. And so in this realm that we live in, we're completely inundated with a desire. Because once you have the eye, the eye wants to see nice things. The ear wants to hear good things. The nose wants to smell good things. The tongue and all that. We look for this desire. This is why I call it the desire realm. Any spiritual meditations, even Christianity, is about escaping the desire realm. It's about escaping the desire realm. So once you can escape the desire realm, you're now into what is called the realm of form or formless. There's two more. Now, within that, I don't want to get too complicated, but within that is when you reach jhana or chana or Zen. So Zen meditation is about escaping the desire realm into a higher realm where you don't have this bodily anymore, this material anymore. So what happens to your body when you reach that realm? You don't have one. It's all energy. You're now all energy. So if you believe in God and you return to the kingdom of God, then you're pure energy, right? And if you believe in yoga, the yoga practice is all about escaping this body and return to pure energy. Now, if you're a physicist, you also know what that means because the physicists talk about the black hole. They talk about the particle wave duality. That particle is the body, is the physics, is the physical, and the wave is the energy. So the body and the energy are interchangeable. And as you enter the black hole, then the particle becomes wave, right? In fact, before the black hole, there's something called the horizon, right? The black hole horizon. And that's that's consistent with the Buddhist concept of the form realm and the formless realm. So in other words, even as a earthly being like we are, we still have the energy. We just don't know it because the body becomes a hindrance to the energy. And so that hindrance is what causes ill health. That hindrance is what causes ill health. So when you talk about having diabetes, having high blood pressure, cholesterol, fatty liver, uh, um, what else? A thyroid problem. All these problems that are cancer is another thing. That these are because you're hindering your chi, hindering your energy. So, in other words, if you are a Zen practitioner, you want to practice meditation, enter into jhana and enter into the formless realm, you can't do it when your body is such a hindrance. So, it's one of the same that when we want to have good health, we need to remove the hindrances so that the chi expresses itself. There's no blockage of chi. And if you wanted to meditate, Zen meditation, and you want to become spiritual, and if you're a Christian and you want to achieve eternal life, it's all the same. It's about removing the hindrance of the body by removing the desire, the earthly desire. It's all the same, right? So what is this chi, and what is the Chinese interpretation of this chi, this energy? So when they learn how to meditate, when they learn how to meditate from Bodhidharma, and they themselves have entered jhana, and they can see through the body because the body is now just energy. They notice that the energy is part of the sun, it's influenced by the sun. That within the 24 hours, it's as if you have this wavefront moving inside of you. And it's actually not in 12 energy line that we talk about, but it's actually in one energy loop. It's just that every 2 hours, the wavefront is occupied by that particular energy line, some of which goes from the inside of your body go out, and some of which from the outside of the body comes in. And it's actually formed a continuous loop. So I talk about how important it is to sleep before 11 o'clock, because from 11 to 1 for 2 hours, it's the energy line that is associated with the gallbladder that is active. A gallbladder is the yang energy line, so that's going from the, the very tip of your toe, traveling on the side and come up to the shoulder, to the neck, all the way to the top, and then inside your body. Now, whether you have a gallbladder or not, that energy line exists. It's just that when that energizes, we have to name it after something. And we didn't name it after an organ, we name it after a function. And then eventually, about 100 years ago, when the Chinese and the Westerners got together, they start to associate the name. Okay. So it's just an energy line. Now, at 1 o'clock, that energy line continues to travel into the yin, which is the liver, and it continues to travel back into the toes again. This time ends up in the second toe. And that's why we need to sleep at that time, lying down, let the liver and the gallbladder does its magic to cleanse your toxins in your body and to rebuild more blood, new blood. And then so that's from 1 to 3. At 3 o'clock, another energy line start to active. They actually continuously active. They just want it, just like the wavefront got there. Then it's the liver. Then it's the lung. After the lung is the large intestines. The large intestines finishes around 7 o'clock in the morning. That's why we need to wake up and have a bowel movement if you can. That's the time to clean out the waste in your body. That's also the time, the 7 o'clock is the beginning of the stomach energy line, the yang energy line, a very important yang energy line that travels in the front of your feet. And we like to be standing up because the sun had just risen and we wanted to really let that yang energy comes into our body. And then it continues, and around 11 o'clock is the heart energy line. And the heart energy line is fire, and the sun is also fire. So you don't want to be fighting fire with fire. So that's the time when we have lunch and we take a nap and continue and continue. So these energy lines exist. They exist pure as a pure energy when you reach jhana or chana. or Zen. Okay, that's how Zen meditation is all about, is to escape this material body, become a spiritual body. Same as in Christianity, same as in yoga, same as in everything else. That this body is actually a hindrance to a spiritual purity. Okay? Everything that I learn here, everything that I do here, uh, I learned from my dad because he was sick for a long time. Um, he gets worse and worse and worse and worse because his brain is deteriorating. And towards the end, these are the things that I discovered on my own. These techniques are the ones I discovered on my own. I can't do all of them with him. So we usually have a class, a Cantonese class, 7:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning. As soon as I'm finished, I go over and I help my dad basically do all these exercises. And my mom would tell you that usually when I arrive, he's just a sack of flesh sitting on the sofa. He doesn't even know who he is and where he is and who am I and everything. And I would do this exercise for him. And then my mom said, "Whoa," and he's feel like he's energized. I said, "Yeah, it really helps." And often I would walk him. So I would take his walker and he get up from the sofa, he walks. He likes to stand on his toe. That's one exercise that we do here. That actually also activates the kidney energy line, get blood into his head. And then he would walk. We will walk the hallway, and then at the end of the hallway, before his own bedroom, it's the bathroom, and he would peek into the bathroom. He would often go into the bathroom and open the cupboard, and all of a sudden he recognizes his shaver and his aftershave. He likes Old Spice. He just loves Old Spice. He recognizes them, and he turns around and he says, thank you for all the memory." And that's another day. I must well tell you a story. I must well tell you a story. So about 2 weeks before he passed away, he was really giving up. Maybe a month before he passed away, he was really giving up. I told this story one time. My mom called me and says, "You got to come over." I said, "What happened?" I just left. I just want to take a shower. I just left. He said, "No, your father fell down." I said, "Really? Is he hurt?" He said, "No. If he's hurt, I should call the ambulance." And then because it takes a while before I get here, even though I only live 10 blocks away. And my mom said, "No, he's fine. He's fine. He just won't get up." That was in the winter. He died in February. So I came over and he was lying on the hallway. He won't get up because he's giving up. This is too much. He he had become incontinent for a long time, and that we took his honor away as a man. And he won't get up. He looks at me and I said, "Well," I said, "you have to get up. It's very cold down there. You're going to catch cold. And if you catch cold and I take you to the hospital now with the cold back the way it was back in February, back in the end of the year, you're going to die, right? You're going to caught the virus and you're going to die." And he looks at me and basically tells me, "Yeah, I want to die." And I said, "But don't die like this." I said, "You remember when I was little and you took me to the sea and you taught me how to swim, and one time I swallowed the water." He said, "If you die with COVID, that's how you die." He said, "The water accumulates in your lung and you die as if you're drowning." I said, "Don't die like this." I said, "I promise you, I promise you, I would ask for the help of Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy, which he really believes in. I would ask her to help you. All you need to do is follow my lead and learn how to chant, and and then you would have a good death." And he looks at me and he says, "But it's too late. I don't have enough time." I said, "It's not too late." I said, "It's not too late." He says, "It's too late. I don't have time to build up enough merit." I said, don't worry about it. I said, all this time that I'm helping you, I learned from you, and I'm teaching. I'm actually out there teaching the technique that I learned from you. I said, I know you don't have time to earn enough merit. I would earn the merit for you. So I made a commitment to him that he should let it go and die peacefully and let me worry about earning the merit for him. And that's why I'm here. I'm earning the merit for my dad. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to meditate with metta. And I'm going to chant in my father's name, since I mentioned his name. He had passed away in early February. May all beings be free from animosity and negative energy. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings be free of joy and protected with positive energy. Please put your hands together. This mudra symbolizes our gratitude and our humbleness. Sabe Sota Maya Hantu Sabe Sata Ayaja Hantu Sabi Sata Anaga Hanti Sabi Sata Suki Atano Very I dedicate all my merit, all my future merit to my father. May he rest in peace. May everyone rest in peace. Oh, that's it. And a class today. That itself is actually meditation. It's meditating on your loving kindness, on your metta. Okay? Loving kindness is actually the first jhana. So we talk about jhana and Zen meditation and reaching the form realm away from the desire realm. The first is loving kindness. The second is compassion. The third one is empathy. And the fourth one is equanimity. Together, they are called the Brahma Vihara, the chambers of the Brahman. Okay, so be peace, be healthy. I'll see you next week. Practice on your own. Bye-bye.